and go.
Well, welcome to a special edition of the Groovy podcast. I should say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. This time we have an interview with, and then I don't want to pronounce your name without you saying it first. So can you tell me, how do you say your name?
Fosso Arcel.
Okay, so it's just like it looks.
Fosso Arcel.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like it looks.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. And I am podcasting as usual from Marlborough, Connecticut. But Fosso, you are podcasting. Where are you exactly now?
Currently, I'm in Yaoundé, Cameroon. So, Cameroon, maybe some people will know that about it. It's in Africa. So, I'm in Cameroon. Yaoundé is the capital of Cameroon. That's where I am right now. Okay.
Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. I should mention that my knowledge of Cameroon is largely limited to the Wikipedia article that I have up in front of myself. I went and did a little bit of reading this afternoon, so I have a rough idea where you are. And you're in one of the big cities then, right? Yaoundé, did you say?
Yeah, Yaoundé is the capital city in the country. So,
Wonderful. I do
that's
have
why
to ask you, I'm sorry, go
at the
ahead.
moment. I just arrived here some like an hour ago, so I just arrived here from Boya an hour ago.
Okay.
Just an hour ago, I was traveling from morning. Okay.
You were traveling from where?
From Boya,
Is that how you
where
pronounce it? I
used
saw
to
the
be
name.
based to
Okay.
Yaoundé.
So did you pronounce it
Yes,
Boya?
it's pronounced Boya. Yeah.
Boya.
Yes, that's how it's pronounced.
Okay. I mean, I saw it written out on the web page for the fundraiser, but I am not, of course, I've never heard it pronounced directly. So let me just bring people up to date who are not aware of who you are and what you are doing. This was all triggered for us by Jen Strader, who sent around the notification about a GoFundMe campaign about a series of interns that they're collectively referring to as GR8DI, the Great DI Summer Internships, and it was all about. Yeah. Do you want to tell us about it?
Okay, so the Great DI program, like the Great DI, is an initiative to increase diversity within the Groovy community. So we do different projects that will promote different projects that will help increase diversity within the Groovy community and make it more accessible to people in different parts of the world. So the summer internships is one of the ideas, one of the projects that we came up with to achieve our goals. Yeah.
Wonderful. And we put the link for the fundraiser in the show notes for the previous podcast, but there's a nice picture on the page that shows, I think it's like, are there 15 students involved? How many students are involved in this?
Okay. The picture is from that picture in particular is from the previous that was the Groovy bootcamp which we did last year, around June last year. Or when was that? That was sometime after. That's the picture. But some of the people on that picture are actually taking part in the summer internship this year too. So that one was from the projects we have done to increase diversity. So currently there are nine participants in the summer internships. Not everyone is settled in the yet. We have usually at least six people coming in every day at the moment in Yaoundé that take part. And some are already catching up online remotely while they relocate to the capital city to join in.
Okay, so now there's some intermittent connection problems I just should mention to you, but it sounds like from what you said there, that picture was from a year ago when they did the initial fundraiser and the initial program to increase diversity and everything. And this year there are 6 students involved, and they are coming in every day. Is that what you say?
Yeah, yeah. So we have students that come in every day. We got us an office space, shared office space, tech hub kind of place, and they come in and work, just work on the projects that we have to for the internship period.
How long does the internship program last? I got the impression it was approximately 2 months, but when did it start? How long is it going to go?
Okay, we started first week of August, and we intend to end September. So it's a 2 months program. 2 months, yeah. But of course, our goal is that even after the 2 months, since the projects are while maybe continue their academic program in school, or anybody wanting to contributing to the projects, feel free to go along, to go ahead with that. So, yeah.
Excellent. And the students then are living in that area, or are they all commuting in, or how does that work?
Okay, so all the students currently with us are from Buea. They are currently students at the University of Buea, studying some software engineering and so on. So they are an academic internship at this time of the year, and it's a 2 months internship program required by the university. But that section of the country hasn't been quite peaceful. Been a bit of turmoil, some, and I have to mention that Buea is like is like the Silicon Valley in Cameroon. So we call it Silicon Mountain because there's a mountain there. So we call it Silicon Mountain. It's like the Silicon Valley of Cameroon, and 95% of the tech startups in the country are all located there. It's really
wow.
centralized, and with that disturbance, it's really for the students to get internship opportunities in other places because all the startups were there.
Excellent. So that's the right place for
Now
them.
some are just work online. Yeah, but because of the situation, they had to move into Yaoundé to take part in this. So this program helps them achieve their academic goals of pursuing the internship, their academic internship, and also further their studies of Groovy. For those of them who took part in the boot camp, and some who are even completely new to Groovy, they get to learn what it's about and use it in a real world project. So, yeah.
Excellent. So I'm very glad to hear about it. And it sounds like they're in an excellent place. And then hopefully, as you say, they'll be able to transition to one of the many opportunities in the Silicon Mountain, as you say, region of Cameroon. Now, how did you get involved in this? What's your background in any of this?
Okay, I actually studied in the university there too, but I didn't know about Groovy until I got a job in a startup called Avgray. So when I joined Avgray, I was expecting to be doing Java, which is what I had an idea about. So I learned before, but that's where I was introduced to Groovy. That's literally the only startup I ever found in Cameroon that was anything related to Groovy. And at Avgray, I got interested. I started doing a bit of Grails, and I told myself, why don't I share this with my friends? I mean, back even before that, back then in the university, I used to have boot camps already. So I used to be president of the University Technology Club. So I will have boot camps, and I will call for students, and we'll share knowledge on different things. Java boot camp, an Arduino kind of stuff. So I noticed that Groovy was more convenient for doing this. You see, for example, if you have a person who has never written any computer program ever, a person who has never written a Hello World, and and they come into a boot camp and you start speaking about, let's say, the function marks in the air. They're like, why do I need to put class again? Why do I need to have this public static and stuff just because I want to print out a Hello World? So Groovy brings in that scripting. I could teach in that the concepts without keeping aside what they don't need to know at the moment, and just concentrate on some concept, then build on that and build on that, and Groovy was good for that. Well, so I told myself I would like to do a Groovy bootcamp, and hopefully that will help me out.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, I'm glad to hear that Groovy was being used in a startup at all out there. Well, anywhere, frankly. I mean, good to know that. And that's very generous of you to want to share that with your friends as well. So how long ago was that? How long have you been working in the community like that?
2016. That was 2016. So I came to discover Groovy around March 2016, and the first boot camp, that was I think, not quite sure of the date anymore, but I think that should have been June 2016, if my memory.
Well, that's close enough. Just trying to get a rough idea.
Yeah. Then in 2000 and early, yeah. But I think I got it. I had been involved before that, but with Groovy 2016. Then earlier this year, from January, actually, we decided to have another project that was the Groovy School, because I noticed from the boot camps were short. Students come in, they get an idea, but they don't have enough time to practice it or to and so on. So they get an idea of Groovy, then they keep it aside and they go on and about with their lives, especially those who are not probably studying computer science or engineering at the university. They just throw it away after the bootcamp. So I said, what if we have a long stretch, like 6 months program, where you can learn the language more in depth? And we had something like that earlier this year, January to June. We had the Groovy School, which was 6 months training. Every weekend, it was like a series of meetups. Like every Saturday, we had a meetup, and we discussed new aspects of Groovy. We'll try out Groovy FX briefing for those who are interested in desktop applications.
Did the projects that you were working on, did they involve anything like web applications with Grails or anything like that, or was it purely Groovy and Java? I'm afraid we may have lost our connection. Oh, that's too bad. You never know with internet connectivity. Sometimes things come and go, and as you see here, we've been struggling a little bit with this particular connection. I'll give now. I got to mention, by the way, that his name is Fosso, but the Twitter handle is Kraulein, Kraulein, I believe it is. Let me just check that very quickly here. Let's see. Yes, Kraulain, Kraulein, and that's where the updates have been. And I'm hoping that that's one of the questions I wanted to ask. Making it back in. I want to find out what that Twitter handle means, if nothing else, where that's coming from. Welcome back. But we still have some audio issues there, I'm afraid. So I'm not able to understand you at the moment, unfortunately. That's the beauty of doing this live, isn't it? that of course, I feel like the people on the television back in the 50s who had to basically do everything by hand. How's your audio now? I'm afraid that's still not coming through clearly for me.
Is it better?
Ah, that did it. There you go. Now that came through. Okay, so I'm sorry. You were telling us about a little bit about the training that they were getting or that you were doing in the university on the weekends, as I recall. You said something like a 6-month program on the weekends, everybody working on Groovy. Was there anything Grails involved in that, or was it all just the Groovy programming language?
There was a bit of Grails involved. There was a bit of Grails because the goal was to have to further just like apply, not just hear about Groovy and how it works, but also see how it's used in projects out there. So we had to do a bit of Grails, a bit of Griffin, a bit of Ratpack, and we just mentioned other things like Gradle and Spock, but we didn't use those much. But that was the idea, and also we wanted to be a recurrence. So maybe in the future editions, we'll get to to do more.
Now, for the internship, they're all getting credit for this, so that they can. This is part of their actual degree program, right?
Yeah, this is discounting.
So what's your role in that? Are you teaching that? Are you supervising the projects, or how do you figure into that?
Well, I can say supervising, mentoring. Yeah, that's how I can put it. So I'm not teaching that at the moment, but pointing to resources, answering questions on Slack, raising issues or opening tickets for things to be done so that they can get going. So basically, I'm doing that along with Jen Strata. So she also responds to questions from them and so on. So we guide the progress of it. That's what we do. Actually,
Excellent.
we guide the
Excellent.
project.
Are the students enjoying it so far, you think?
I think they are. I really think they are. They're showing a lot of enthusiasm working on the projects, and they're very excited about it. It's not all, you don't always get an opportunity over here to experience this atmosphere of startup or tech company setting. So we have many students who even studied software engineering but end up working in different fields, not related, and that's because they don't always get the opportunities to work on projects like this and so on. So this is really a thrill for them.
Well, that's wonderful. And of course, you mentioned Slack, and I know I've talked to you on the Groovy community Slack. So I assume that you have your own channel there or something like that where they're talking, or, I mean, because again, I can just encourage people who happen to be on that Slack channel to be sure to be welcoming and helpful. But I don't really have to say that. It's a pretty welcoming community as it is. I mean, people are generally very friendly to newcomers, but again, we'd be more than happy to encourage the students to, ask whatever they need to know, and we'll try to help out as best we can. Now, I have to ask you, your Twitter handle is Kraulain. It's also your email address, Kraulain. Where does that come from?
Oh, that's a bit funny. Now, the thing is, my names are longer than that. I mentioned my name Fosso Arcel because that's easier for everyone to get, but I actually have 2 other names. And so the name Kraulain is the initial of the first name and the last name joined together. So if I had to say the full names, it will be Kamwa Fosso Arcel Rolling. But I just picked out Fosso Arcel, which is easier for everybody to go with. And Kraulain comes from actually, it's just the initials of the names joined together. So
I understand. And that's very kind of you to simplify it for those of us who are not as good at picking up on those things. But of course, we'll address you however you prefer to be addressed. So very good that you're doing this. I'm trying to think, is there anything you can tell us about any of the projects themselves, or are those all for given companies, or is that for the actual DI website, or anything you could tell us?
Yeah, right now the main thing being done is the DI website actually
Hmm.
to reach out more to other to sell our other projects more, like to reach out to more people, help other people uh, succeed with gain from it too. But the other projects that we have in mind, which like one of the main projects we want to have done before the end of the internship, is to have a platform to help translate the gross documentation. I didn't mention this, but sometime last year I did a boot camp in another city called Chang. It's also in Cameroon. So it's Cameroon is a bilingual country. We speak English and French, and that city is in the French-speaking section of the country. So there were
Right.
some university students. They attended. About 30 students were present for 3 days boot camp around December, and they had the challenge of accessing material resources to learn Groovy in French. So there were very few blogs and books and stuff that resources, and the documentation is entirely in English. So we thought it like, if we really want to increase the diversity, we really want to get more people in, we need to get this in other languages too. We need to get more people that don't necessarily speak English also participate. So one of the projects is to actually build some tool that will help us achieve that more, doing the translation and all the like. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
it's
really funny, given that Guillaume Laforge has been the head of the project for so many years, and of course he's French. And Cedric Champeau is one of the core team members, and he's French as well. I mean, I know there are many French speakers involved in the language, so I'm sure there'd be plenty of people to answer questions should that come up. So it's funny though that everything has been translated to English when so many people already knew French. And I'm not one of them, by the way. I wouldn't have any idea what you were saying if you said something in French. But yeah, I'm sure we've got resources that'll help out on that sort of thing. Okay, the website's not yet available yet, right? That you don't have a site that's up yet. Oh, I should have known when the picture froze. That looks like we're having a. We were doing so well there. You know, we were having some connection problems, and things cleared up for a few minutes, and then we'll do some wrap up things and see how things go. Um, just to finish up what we were talking about, I again the actual website that I know of is the one for the fundraiser itself. It's a GoFundMe campaign, and we have a link to that in the show notes. But it's simply at gofundme.com/gr8di-summer-internships. So that's at the moment all the information I have. Although Croyline also has a Twitter handle, as I mentioned, he's at KRAULAIN. So that is another mechanism you can use to access what the students are doing, what he's doing. And he's got welcome back. Made it back in again. Hopefully this time the audio worked too.
I hope so. Is it working?
Intermittently. I just wanted to ask you, is the website for the actual program available yet, or is that coming soon? When should we expect to see that?
It's coming soon. I think we can expect to have it by the end of August. So basically 2 weeks to come. So it's work in progress, but it's going to be published. So yeah,
Well,
published.
every
Yeah.
website in existence is a work in progress. It's the very definition of a minimum viable product. You know, whenever it's available, just let us know, which I imagine you will in Twitter, and then we'll pass that along to everybody. But again, that's whenever, you know, no pressure is what I'm trying to say. We're not trying to push anybody on that, but whenever it's ready, let us know, and we can let you know any feedback you might want. Anything else you wanted to mention or to talk about yourself?
But I would like to thank all the members of the Groovy community that have been supporting us to achieve this. We will not be able to do this all by ourselves, despite having the will to have these students learn Groovy and have all these projects executed. We will not have been able to achieve it this way if we didn't have all the support, financial support, the people who volunteered to mentor some of the students. I remember, Ken, you were one of them, mentoring, uh, doing a mentorship project. Yeah, so thank you for that, and thank everybody who has contributed for this in some way. I also want to thank Jen for all she's been amazing. She has just been present, and sometimes the ideas are faint and I don't yet see how they're going to come out or how they're going to happen, but she always has a way to make it work, and then so that's amazing. I would like to thank her especially for that. So the Groovy community is so welcoming and so cool for us to be part of it and to be able to this just thank you. I'm missing the words.
It's okay. I mean, in the Groovy community, the community has a reputation for being helpful and welcoming, and as long as we can do our part to improve that or to increase that, just to make sure that we do encourage people like this, then we're happy. And all we'll really ask in return is that you do what you're doing, is that you pay it forward. You know, is that when you help others also join and do whatever they can to move along on that sense as well. So great to have you here. I'm sorry about the internet connectivity issues with the podcast. I should have anticipated that, I suppose. Maybe we can try again at a conference or at another date, and at a time when we could be co-located or something. Maybe we'll be able to broadcast something like that. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to appear on the podcast. And you know, we wish you all the best in the future as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
So please feel free to keep in touch.
Has been mine, so thank you. Yeah, sure. I'll do so.
And please give all of our best to all the actual students themselves. You know, maybe someday we'll get a chance to talk to them, or we'll look forward, who knows, to their first commit to the Groovy GitHub repository, or who knows, or they'll just get a job in the area and be working on projects. It's all fine, but it's we just want to encourage them and say we look forward to their participation in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get to watch this. Maybe some live, I don't know, but they'll get to watch this, and well, I'll transmit that.
Yeah, I don't know how happy they're going to be with the audio or the video on this podcast. Not exactly like we've never had that problem before either, but we'll see. But if we need to try this again at another point, maybe we'll do that also and see if we can get something that's a little bit cleaner. Just right now we're on live, so we might as well put up what we have, but we'll see how that goes in the future.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and you take care.
Okay.